जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरवरधारी।
जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरवरधारी।
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन।
Rahul and Inaji, you may also sing. Yashodanandan
Then
Braj Jana Ranjana.
so
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन।
Yashodanandan Braj Jana Ranjana.
यमुना
Yashodan
यमुना तीर बनचारी।
Now everyone can repeat. Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
जय राधा माधव कुंज
Bihar
बिहारी।
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Ram,
Ram
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 Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
Hare Hare,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare, Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
जय राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन श्री राधे।
Jaya Radha
Radha,
Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Radhe.
जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर श्री राधे।
Jaya Radha Sham Sundar, Radha Sham Sundar, Shri Radhe.
जय कृष्णा बलराम कृष्णा बलराम कृष्णा बलराम जय कृष्णा बलराम।
Jai
Jaya
Shri
Krishna
Krishna
Balram,
Balaram,
Krishna Balram, Krishna
Bal,
Balram, Jaya Krishna Balram.
जय गौरंग निताय गौरंग निताय गौरंग निताय जय गौरंग निताय।
Jaya Gauranitai,
Nitai,
Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय श्रीला प्रभुपदा।
Jaya
Prabhupada,
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 Prabhupada, Prabhupada,
Prabhupada.
Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव।
Jai
Jaya
Gurudev,
Gurudev, Jaya
Gurudev,
Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev.
जय वृंदावन धाम की जय जय नवदीपा धाम की
की
जय
जय।
जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय जय गंगा मैया की जय
जय
यमुना मैया
जय
की
की
जय
जय।
तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Amazing. Okay, good. So I think we have low attendance today, but we'll start anyways. The show must go on. When Srila Prabhupada started preaching, right, sometimes he would be at the temple and there'd be hardly any devotees, but he would keep teaching. Saying Krishna is hearing, the insects are hearing, the wall is hearing, everybody is hearing, right? So in the same spirit, we'll continue on the session today, though even the attendance is low. You can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I think so we'll just do a recap of the chapter 6 and hopefully finish it today. Then basically, we can get into the real jam of the Bhagavad Gita, which is chapter 7 onwards, right? Um, uh, in that sense, and you will also see how Krishna's really build it up to get into chapter 7, and then afterwards how he ends it, right? So I think good that you all stayed on, and I think this has been most amazing, and I'm sure you're finding benefits in your life from all that you're seeing right now, right? And hearing right now. So chapters the summary the chapter 6, I think the acronym that we started off with is easy, right? Mainly it talks about controlling the mind, and how do you really manage that, right? And that's what chapter 6 is about. And it starts with E, which is about, E is for enemy or friend, and this is about the mind, right? And we'll soon come to understand why Krishna talks about this at the start of the chapter 6, right? A lot of what you hear today and what you would have heard in the last class is also coming from the yoga ladder that we spoke very early on, I think, and that yoga ladder, Krishna is now peeling every part of that and basically going step by step and really making us understand it, and that's where you reach chapter 6. I think it started with understanding that, and this is what we covered actually in chapter 5 also, right? That when we come to a stage where we realize that we realize this tripod of jiva, God, and nature, and when we understand that gradually a detachment comes in our heart, right? Because we understand that everything is not actually done by me alone. I'm only desiring, right? And so the jiva begins to desire. Then the super soul within the heart, really verifies and sanctions basis that does the jiva deserve this thing, and then basically asks the material nature through the three modes to really fulfill that desire, right? So when Jiva begins to understand that God is so mighty, so powerful, he's doing so many wonderful things in this world, so slowly the detachment starts in the heart, and one begins to understand, right, overall. And if this detachment develops, right, we will not have any control over mentality. We will always think that I will do my part, but let me do my best, but let Krishna do the rest, right? And we saw many examples of a farmer before, and many other examples as well, right? So that's how we started. But we said before you reach this stage, um, before we reach this stage, right, of Dhyan Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, I think Nishkam Kam Yoga is the basis of that, right? So without Nishkam Kam Yoga, also, without reaching that stage, if you continue to do Dhyan Yoga anyway, you will not benefit anything. And I think we heard about the examples of people doing a lot of different kinds of yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, mainly for the body, but it doesn't really impact the heart and the mind. So I think that's the big lesson. Um, for us, right? As we learned, we learned about the story of Janak Maharaj, which have been covered in chapter 3 as well, and basically, how Janak Maharaj would live a life um, of Nishkam Kam Yoga, right? And now in that stage is when you become purified and knowledge gets awakened, and then you move to the next platform as per the stages of the yoga ladder, where Ashtanga Yoga, where you learn to meditate on the soul, right? And we did that meditation where a yogi sees the personality of the form of Lord in their heart, right? Overall. So the path of karma purifies the heart, the path of jnana awakens the knowledge about the soul and the God, and the path of Ashtanga Yoga clearly shows that the God is Vishnu in our heart. So you have to meditate with Vishnu in our heart. I told you about the story of Iyengar as well, right? And how he wanted to do the last book which he wrote about, saying what is the culmination of yoga practice, right? And basically, um, yeah, so and basically then we learned that, while you do this yoga, right, it should not be about leaving everything and doing it, right? And so Krishna speaks about a married man who has a child and a wife. He should not suddenly drop the family and run away to take sannyas, right? This is not allowed in the Shastra. Similarly, one is not purified in the mind, one who does not have purified senses, and one who is not able to fully engage in spiritual life should not run away from his duty. Right, so Krishna is glorifying Nishkam Kam Yoga again and again this in this chapter, so that people understand that first reach the stage of Nishkam Kam Yoga, right, where you're doing everything for Krishna. And then you get into this stage, especially as people like us who live in this material world, who have families, and so on and so forth, right? So that's basically what Krishna spoke about. And then he spoke about who's a real sannyasi, right? Who's a real yogi. So he says, because although he's a karma yogi, he gives his results to God. So that's why he's called as a sannyasi. He may be wearing the dress as a grasta, right? But in his heart, whether he's wearing a kurta pajama or a suit or a formal suit or a shirt pant or whatever, that in his heart he's detached from the fruits and he's giving away his fruits to God, and he's like a sannyasi only, right? Across the world, this person's mind does not dwell on sense gratification. He's called a yogi, right? And this way, he explained that even while living in the world, you can live like a sannyasi or a yogi, right? So we learned about the family, about how family life should be lived, right? For families should have deity of Radha Krishna in the house. They should prepare bhoga, offer it to the Lord, feed other devotees, put up festivals, conduct programs, start preaching, go for yatras and trips, right? And gradually their fondness and attraction is taken away from the home and material things, and in enjoyment to rendering service to other souls by bringing them in Krishna consciousness, right? And this is therefore the quality of their consciousness is like a sannyasi, although you may live as a grahastha within the four walls of the family. Then we learned about saying, that before practicing advanced stages of Ashtanga yoga, right, one must be purified. Again, Krishna talks about by the practice of Nishkamkam yoga, right, across the board. Then we learned about what are the different stages of really doing and of doing this yoga, right, overall. So we spoke about that even while doing Ashtanga yoga, there are stages, like there are don'ts, there are prohibitions on what you should and what you should not be doing. There are niyams or prescriptions saying what should you do. There are asanas, which is the part of the bodily exercise. The problem is most of people doing yoga are only doing asanas. There are no prohibitions. There is no niyamas being following. Then you do pranayam. That's the other thing people do. So people will basically do asana and pranayam, but that may not lead to pratyahara, which is withdrawing senses from sense objects, and the final stage, which is about dharana or fix. No, then the sixth stage, which is about fixing mind on the Lord's form. Then you reach dhyana, right, where you intensify your meditation on the super soul. You reach the stage of samadhi or trance, where your focus is only on the Lord. Overall, right, and this is the same eight limbs of Ashtanga Yoga from Patanjali Yoga Sutras also, right? Uh, then basically went into details of each of this, right? What are the rules? What are the rules to follow across the board? Right? So when we said social discipline, right, we should be non-violent, we should be truthful, we should not steal. Then it talks about celibacy, it talks about non-possessiveness, so ahimsa, satya, asatya, brahmacharya, and aparigaraha. Right. Then it talks about personal discipline, right? That you should have saucha, santosha, tapas, swadhyaya, and ishvara pranadhina, cleanliness, contentment, austerity, study, surrender to God overall. Then he's saying when someone is completely purified of material desires, he can give up Nishkam Kam Yoga. That means because now you don't have any material attachments, and then you can do Ashtanga Yoga exclusively. This is the steady stage of meditation. And there also we saw there are two levels. There's a Yoga Ruruksha stage, which is the beginning, and Yoga Rudha, which is the advanced stage, right? Overall. So Yoga Rudha is mind control and detachment, right? Where you come to an advanced stage of Yoga Rudha, which means you are no longer attracted by the senses, you are no longer attached to the material thing. You develop that detachment and you are able to control the mind, right? Hence, Krishna explains the importance of mind control. And then, he spoke about, uh, about mind being a friend as well as an enemy, right? And I think, so you asked a question on this, right?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is the
I got a
question?
bit confused while I was revisiting the recording. So how do we How do we know whether it's acting as a friend or as an enemy?
So I give you an example, right? I give you an example of a knife. The knife can be used by a thief to murder some people. A knife can be used by a surgeon to save somebody's life as well, right? That's what we spoke about. Simply the mind, right? How to use the mind, right? Mind is also like that, and it can lead to bondage, right? And it can give you bondage, and it can also give you liberation. And it depends upon the kind of mind we have, right? Do we have a controlled mind or do we have an uncontrolled mind? So we learned about, if the mind is asking you to do things, for example, you have a choice, right? Overall, that I will watch a movie or I will listen to a lecture, right?
Hmm.
Where does the mind go? Right? Does the mind make you go towards Krishna consciousness, or the mind is saying, chalo, distract ho jao, time pass karo,
Hmm.
right? Is the mind helping you become peaceful, disciplined? Is the mind helping you become peaceful, disciplined, responsible, or is it giving you procrastination, anger, anxiety? Hey guys, just a second now. So, is the mind helping you become peaceful, disciplined, or responsible? Or is the mind giving you procrastination, anger, or anxiety? If it's giving you procrastination, anger, anxiety is again an enemy, right? If it's telling you don't do Krishna consciousness and watch a movie or do something else, then typically the mind is still an enemy. In the practical terms, when the mind says wake up and do chanting, right?
Hmm.
And when we listen to it, it's a friend, right? When then the mind says, oh, 10 मिनट और सो जाते हैं या आज छोड़ देते हैं साधना, आज टाइम नहीं है, आज कुछ और कर लेते हैं, आज जो मैं कुछ और करने चल जाता हूँ. That's when it's acting like an enemy, right? Overall. So that's essentially, how the mind is working
Right.
as a friend or as an enemy,
तो
right?
मतलब हमें रेगुलर प्रैक्टिस में रहना पड़ता है, राइट? यू कैन नॉट डू इट विदाउट प्रैक्टिस
Yeah,
बिकॉज
yeah. And then I think then Krishna speaks about, right? How do you get the mind in control? So in this, he speaks about Ashtanga yoga to keep minds in control, right? Which
राइट,
is all this yam, niyama, asana,
या
pranayam, pratyahara, dharana. So this is where you come fixing on the mind, dhyana, samadhi, 8 limbs of Ashtanga yoga. Right? Prabhupada used to say, right, to get control of the mind, start ignoring it. Right. So
ओ
so I was hearing a
ओके,
lecture where somebody was talking about Vrindavan monkeys. If you've been to Vrindavan, Vrindavan has so many monkeys, right? They will come and steal your chashma, they will steal your mobile phone. If you're eating
Prasad.
something, they will take that, some prasad, whatever you have, they will come and steal it, right? But the way to really handle the monkeys is, of course, be careful. But if you ignore them, they don't do anything. If you look towards them, then they will want to steal something because they know ये मैं मैं इसको लेके ये मुझे कुछ मिल जाएगा. For example, they love fruity, right? So if you're carrying even a purse, sometimes they will even steal that. But वो उसको basically उसको उसकी जगह फ्रूटी चाहिए होता है. बट अगर आप उसकी तरफ देखोगे ही नहीं तो आपको छेड़ेगा ही नहीं. आपको कुछ खाने का सामान हो या कुछ हो तो वो आपको देखेगा, चश्मा हो तो वो आपसे लेगा, फोन आपका पॉकेट में हो तो कोई नहीं देख सकता. लेकिन अगर आप उसकी तरफ देखना शुरू करोगे, आप उसको इग्नोर करोगे तो कुछ नहीं करेगा. So you compare the mind to the monkeys, where if you start ignoring it, nothing starts. They don't really they don't do
राइट.
anything to it, right? So that's
आई थिंक
basically
दिस इज अ
how.
गुड एनेक्डोट, देन स्टार्ट इग्नोरिंग द माइंड एंड डू व्हाट इज राइट फॉर यू.
Absolutely, start ignoring the mind. To see the intelligent. We also covered about it's again. Um, we learned about this, right? We learned about senses, the mind, the intelligence, the soul, right? So what do we really need to do? So the senses are your 5 horses, right? They will distract you. The mind are the reins. But if the intelligent is driving the mind, then you will never have a problem, right? But if the mind is driving the horses, then you will go all over, right? Because there's no intelligence. Now, what does your intelligence tell you? The intelligence tells you कि भक्ति करो, इंटेलिजेंस करोगे, झूठ मत बोलो. इंटेलिजेंस बोलता है, हमें सब बोलता है, चीटिंग मत करो, मैनिपुलेट मत करो, डोंट बी लस्टी, डोंट डू दिस, फास्टिंग करो या पूजा करो या अच्छा काम करो, ऑफिस में मेहनत से काम करो. माइंड इंटेलिजेंस सब बोलता है, राइट? बट अगर हमारे सेंसेस कंट्रोल में है तो माइंड हमें इधर उधर भगाता रहेगा, राइट? इमेजिन देयर इज नो वन होल्डिंग द reins, and the
राइट.
horses will, at your senses, they will keep going in different directions.
Right. Got it
right?
now.
There's nobody controlling it, right? So what will happen to the body of the soul? What will happen to the soul? The soul will
Wandered
be
around.
completely, although it will get torn around, right? Because pancho तरह horses कहीं और चले गए, and there's nothing to control. So that's why the intelligence has to come in. And how does intelligence come in? By doing your
So,
sadhana, by doing your practice. So by hearing the Bhagavad Gita, right? That's how the intelligence starts to develop. So it's a very simple process, right? But वो ये हम लोग को समझ में नहीं आता फिर भी.
got it. Understood. Thanks.
हाँ? So, and we learned about saying अगर mind को आप बोलोगे, I saw this, I like it very much, I want it, तो वो basically वो क्या होगा, वो supply करना शुरू कर देगा, right? So overall.
Got it.
So if you have to control, then you say this is not anything. We learned the example of the five naughty children, right? एक बोल रहा है चॉकलेट दो, एक बोल रहा है बलून
हाँ.
लो, ये बोल रहा है वो करो, एक तो ये कर रहा है तो क्या होता है? तो माइंड बोलता है कि ठीक है इसको प्रोवाइड करना, तो माइंड इज लाइक द मदर. देन शी गोज टू द फादर हु इज द इंटेलिजेंस. द फादर से अच्छा लेके दे दो. बट अगर फादर ट्रेंड है भगवत गीता में और फादर को इंटेलिजेंस है, तो फादर बोलेगा नहीं इसके लिए अच्छा नहीं है, नहीं लेके दो. Right?
Right.
So that's why we have to train the intelligence. By training the intelligence, you can control the mind and hence the senses.
Got it. So practice is the key.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it. ठीक है.
Yeah.
हाँ जी.
So then, then there is further steps about Krishna telling Arjuna about the Yoga Ruda stage, right? Overall. So he spoke about, anybody, common person, when they get honored, they jump like a monkey, but when they get dishonored, they get depression, right? So he's telling that if somebody has to be an Ashtanga yogi, then he has to be equal-minded. So we spoke about Prabhupada's example, right? Whether he was going in a Rolls Royce or whether he was in a bullock cart, it didn't matter to him. Whether he was staying at the best hotel or whether he was staying in a small hut, thatched hut, it didn't matter to him, right? What was important to him was just Krishna consciousness. Whether he was somebody was a Christian, Muslim, Hindu, poor, rich, fair, whatever, right? It didn't matter to Prabhupada, right? So he spoke about these are the characteristics of the two characteristics of the yoga of somebody who's a yoga ruda state, right? One is that person does not differentiate between gold and stone, right? Overall, he doesn't see, for him everything is the same, right? Another one is the difference between people he doesn't see, right? So we learned about that overall. Then what else? Yeah. So then we went to Ashtanga Yoga, right? Where we learned about that to become an Ashtanga yogi, you should be in a serene place, undisturbed place. But we live in a city where there's so much disturbance, big crowds of people moving around, so much pollution, so much dust, so much car honking, and so on and so forth. But Ashtanga yogi is supposed to be in a serene setting, in the forest, in a farm, mostly in a holy place, right? Like a Vrindavan, Dwarka, Mathura, those kind of those kind of places, right? Then it spoke about you should have an erect posture, overall, and he should meditate on the form of the on the form of the Lord, right? We also read that erect usko karne ke liye, you have to go in a serene place where the river is going. So in fact, he explains the the meaning of a proper place. The proper place to do this is where it's a holy place, where there's a Ganga or a Yamuna going, right, where you're not disturbed. So that's the place you should go and do your sadhana as a Ashtanga yogi, right? Overall. But we also learned that, then we also learned about that he should not eat too much. He should have regulated sleep. Everything should be in moderation, right? And that's how the shift happens, right? Overall, to really make this work, right? So this all we spoke about. We spoke about the example of a lamp, right? When the lamp is there with the windows open, the lamp gets shuts down. But if the lamp is in a place where the windows are closed, then the lamp does not get disturbed, right? Similarly, meditation of the yogi should be fixed. It should be achalam, right? And that's when he'll get to sort of see Lord Vishnu. And that's why he's explaining with the examples of the lamp. We also learned about material desires are compared to snakes, because snake-like desires always make the mind impure and they create troublesome situations for us, right? Overall. Um, So that this is basically what we learned um, overall. Then we learned about the yoga rudra state, right? We it's like the tortoise who's climbing the steps gradually, right? One can go up and up, right? Across the board. Then we spoke about how do you bring the mind back, right? So this is the process of bringing the mind back to focus, right? So when child is playing football, mother will say, "Drop your football, come home. You've not done your homework." Like that, we have to bring the mind back because mind is very chanchal, yeah. Yato yato nischalati mana chanchalam astiram. That's the niyam ye tatamani eva vasham nivata. So the mind goes far, far away. You have to bring it back, right? Therefore, a yogi chants the Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya, right? Dhruv Maharaj ka story हमें पता है, right? As a 5-year-old boy, he chanted Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. For us, in this Kali Yuga, it is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, right? Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
And you have to bring the mind back. अगर हम chanting भी कर रहे हैं, हमारा mind इधर उधर जा रहा है. Suddenly you have to थोड़े टाइम में realization होगा, right? कि दो चार माला के दो चार श्लोक हरे रामा महामंत्र बोलने के बाद, हरे कृष्णा हरे रामा बोलने के बाद, तो we will have to bring it back, saying where am I going, why am I getting distracted? ऑफिस का काम, या ये मुझे फैमिली का इशू, या मुझे बिजनेस का इशू, या मुझे खाने का इशू क्यों आ रहा है मेरे को? तो you have to keep bringing it back, right? And eventually then you experience the bliss of samadhi, right? Overall, right? So then Krishna is telling, then Arjuna is saying, yeah, mind is so difficult to control. It's like a whirlwind, it's like a tornado, it's like a cyclone, right? And I'm unable to catch it or restrain it. So he's telling, Krishna will give Arjuna a solution for this. And Arjuna is saying it's like it's mad like an elephant, it's like a very stubborn, heavy man or like a stubborn child. And then Krishna is telling, Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagena chakrashite. So right, that's what then he speaks about overall. So where did we finish? We covered this section, right? Yeah. So Prabhupada basically was explaining, right, when a disease is advanced, right, if the patient places himself under the care of an expert physician, similarly, we all have a mind which is very diseased and creating trouble for us. So we should place ourselves under the custody of a guru who's like the doctor. And then with regular treatment, which is abhyasena or vairagena, will be effective, right? That's what he was telling. Uh, um, so Prabhupada is engaging, right? When he talks about the nine types of devotional service. The first and the foremost is hearing about Krishna, which is what all of you are doing, right? And this is a very powerful transcendental method of purging the mind of all impurities, right? The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that takes the mind away from Krishna, right? And by detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can easily reach the stage of vairagya, which is detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit, like he's saying. And then we spoke about there's some people who have an impersonal detachment, right? Which is basically they will detach, but they will not have anything to meditate on. They will think ये सब माया, सब light है, सब शक्ति है, सब ब्रह्म ज्योति है, right? It's very difficult, right? And we learned about examples of different sadhus, right? Who got distracted overall. So then he says that you should focus on the activities of Krishna, right? And then he says that it is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. It's like when you go, we spoke about the Ayurvedic doctor, right? They give you a medicine and they give you patya, which means prohibition. So they will say, don't do this, right? So for us, what is the medicine? The medicine is chanting
Hare
the
Krishna Mahamantra, Hare
Chanting.
Krishna Mahamantra.
Absolutely. Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Hare.
And what is the patya?
Practice.
No, patya. So patya was prohibition. So what are the four regulative
Gimmick.
principles?
Gimmick. Oh,
Sorry,
hello.
हाँ राहुल
Gim
बोलो.
Gimmick आपने जो बताया.
नहीं करना थे
So Rahul, I think you're somebody who's speaking. So the four regulative principles, right? No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex. Right? तो वहां पे हमने खत्म किया था, right? I think so. Now we go to the third part, right? Which is about uh, so E was what? Who remembers E?
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Enemy.
En- Enemy of friend. Very good. What is A? A is the Ashtanga Yoga, right? And now S is about success or failure. So this is a very good, this is a very important question, right? In fact, I think Sudipta, you had only asked sometime back in the group as well, right? So in this one, this is a very good one. Actually, this is amazing. This gives us hope, and that's why I said this is one of the most hope-giving lectures today, right? For all of us, right? Right.
Sorry,
So
what was S? Sorry, I just missed copying it, writing it. S
E
क्या
Success.
है?
was S, success and
Success.
failure,
Okay, thank you. हाँ.
right? So इसमें क्या कहते हैं, so basically, so in this one, actually, Arjuna is asking the question to Krishna, right? So he's saying कि भाई अगर मैं नहीं कर पाया और मैं fall down हो गया because it's so difficult to control the mind and so on and so forth, then what happens to me, right? So this is the success or the failure which Arjuna is asking to Krishna, right? He's saying the process that you've given of Ashtanga Yoga, right? Yo yam yogyasthaya prokta samyena madhusudana. He's telling Madhusudana, it is very difficult. The path of Ashtanga Yoga, which you have given, you have to go to a secluded place. You have to be all alone. Your mind should be completely free from all impurities. You should be totally detached. You should be completely satisfied. This kind of practice that you're giving up is very complicated for me. And this is Arjuna saying, हमारे लिए तो सोचो कितना difficult है, right? Overall. So, so Arjuna so Arjuna is asking this question right now in the mind, right? He said, but then he has another question. He says, okay, in case I tried my best in spiritual life, I couldn't make it in my spiritual life and I fell down or I was incomplete, right?
Hmm.
Either of it is possible, right? Overall, we may fall down. मेरे हम पूरा प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं उस कुछ साल बाद हम इंटरेस्ट लूज कर दें अगर हमारी प्रैक्टिस ठीक से नहीं हो रही है हमें एसोसिएशन नहीं मिल रहा वी आर नॉट गोइंग वी आर नॉट मीटिंग डिवोटीज वी आर नॉट प्रैक्टिसिंग वी आर नॉट लिसनिंग so slowly you may fall down. So you may have completed say 50% of what you should be doing and you fall down, right? Overall. Uh, and so what happens, right? Or the second one is that आप आपकी life खत्म हो गई और आप पूरा नहीं कर पाए. You couldn't reach the full stage, right? So so for example, somebody may become 70, 80, may still have some mental diseases, right, in the mind, and so he will take more mental body, right? If he has he has material attachments, even at that stage when he's dying, then he will have to take one more body to fulfill his material attachments, right? So it's like if somebody hasn't completed their homework, they lose their enthusiasm at certain stage, right? And people have tried spiritual life for 10, 20 years, they give up after that and become materialistic again. So that's the question Krishna is asking, Arjuna is asking Krishna, right? About the fate of a fallen yogi, right? So so that's the core question. So now here Krishna is responding, right, overall. So we should just repeat the sloka and Krishna is saying there's no misfortune, right? So what is he saying? Shri Bhagwan Uvacha. You can repeat.
Shri Bhagwan Vacha.
Vacha
Partha naiveha namutra
पार्थानेवेह नामत्र
vinashastasya vidyate.
Vinashasya
विनाशस्तस्य
Tasya
तस्य
vidyate.
Tasya
विद्यते
Vidyate.
Nahi kalyana krit kaschid
Nahi
नाहि
Kalyana
कल्याणकृत्
Kaschit.
durgatim tatta gacchati.
दुर्गतिं
Durgatim
तथा
Tata
गच्छति.
Let's go to the Prabhupada's purport and come back on this one. You can read, right? So what is in Sri Bhagwan Uvacha Partha na eva iha na amutra vinashah tasya vidyate nahi kalyan krit kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. So what is Sri Bhagavan Vacha? Whenever it says in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is said, right? For nobody else, it says the Supreme Personality of God itself. Partha is Arjuna, right? Of course, Partha, son of Pritha. Na eva namutas. Never it is in this material world, never in the next life. There is destruction. Tasya his destruction. Vidyate exists, na never, he certainly. One who is engaged in auspicious activities, anyone to degradation, my friend goes. Right? So what is Prabhupada explaining? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pritha, O transcendentalist, engaged in auspicious activities, does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. So Krishna is assuring him, right? So he quotes, Prabhupada quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam, where Shri Narad Muni instructs Vyasdev as follows, right? He says, if someone gives up all material prospects and takes complete shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no loss or degradation in any way. On the other hand, a non-devotee may fully be engaged in his occupational duties and yet not gain anything. For material prospects, there are many activities, both scriptural and customary. A transcendentalist is supposed to give up all material activities for the sake of spiritual advancement in life, Krishna consciousness. One may argue that Krishna consciousness is, one may argue that by Krishna consciousness one may attain the highest perfection if it is completed. But if one does not attain such a perfectional state, then he loses both materially and spiritually, right? It's a very common question. Udhar ka bhi na ghar ka na ghat ka, right? Overall. It is enjoined in the scriptures that one has to suffer the reaction for not executing prescribed duties. Therefore, one who fails to discharge transcendental activities properly becomes subjected to those reactions. The Bhagavatam assures the unsuccessful transcendentalist that there's need for no worries. Even though he may be subjected to a reaction for not perfectly executing prescribed duties, he is still not a loser because auspicious Krishna consciousness is never forgotten. That's such an important, because the auspicious Krishna consciousness is never forgotten. And one so engaged will continue to be so even if he's low born in his next life. So even if you're low born, you will continue, right? On the other hand, one who simply follows the prescribed duties need not necessarily attain auspicious results if he's lacking in Krishna consciousness. So very clearly is Prabhupada explaining, right? The purport may be understood as follows. Humanity may be divided into two sections, the regulated and the non-regulated. We'll cover this again, right? Actually, we will cover this again. Okay? But I think this was an important one to understand. So Krishna is assuring, develop guarantee ke saath, literally he's saying, right? There's nobody else who can provide you such kind of a guarantee. Right? Yeah. Actually, there was so there's the slide, right, where as you said, there are two big clouds in the sky, right? There is two big clouds and one small cloud. So the cloud leaves one cloud and goes to another small cloud, right? Say one cloud is a material cloud, right, overall, and the other one is spiritual circle of devotees, right, overall, right? So right now you're in a material circle with your material friends. If you give them up and go to the spiritual circle of friends, on the way, if you get scattered away, right, you have no existence, because you could not become serious devotee also, and you could not become a materialist also. So you got lost, right? So that's basically the example we did. So Krishna is telling that, he's funny, my dear Partha, that, when anybody who's taking this auspicious path, right, it does not get destroyed, right? This is the most important thing. If somebody has followed this, right, he cannot get destroyed. So my Gurudev, when he teaches this, there's a famous song from Tamil he speaks. It says, Nalava riputhum kedavatu, ilai athu nogamarai tirapattu. The meaning of this is that one who follows the four Vedas and the corollaries faithfully, even though they may not be in full knowledge, they will never be destroyed. They've already put their foot in the right direction, right? There's also an example of one of the big Maharajas of ISKCON, Loknath Swami Maharaj, right? He was giving a class in the Pune temple, and he was telling that if you walk along the path followed by Tukaram, right, who took the palki and then went towards Pandharpur, and many other Mahatma devotees who walked in the same road, Maharaj said that if you walk on the same road, following the footsteps of the Mahajan, you don't even need to know Lord Vitthal and Rukmani. So Pandharpur is where there's a beautiful pastime of Lord Krishna as Lord Vitthal and with his wife Rukmani. Right. So still today, the deities there's a very beautiful pastime. The overall. So he said that even if you don't know them, but you're just following the path of Tukaram and other Mahatma devotees, you will reach Vittal Rukmani's lotus feet, because that's where everybody is going. All the people who are going there are going to the lotus feet of Vittal and Rukmani. So he said, the same manner, if you follow the footsteps of a sinful person, you can close your eyes and you will surely go to Naraka, right? Or Naraka or hell. So he said, so therefore, Mahajano yeno yatha sapantha. So follow the Vedic scriptures faithfully. If you follow them, you will never be destroyed. Even if you are partially completed. Even if you couldn't make it fully or you fell down on the way, you will nothing will happen, right? You will only continue. It's like a father and mother, right? In this world, they see that their small child is trying to get up, right? He's trying to touch the wall, and he's trying to get up. His body is shaking, right? It appears that he will not be able to hold on, and then he will slip and fall, right? So what will the father and mother do? Will they push the child down कि तू वैसे ही गिरने वाला है, saying तू वैसे ही गिरने वाला है, बंद मत कर? They will keep
नहीं.
encouraging the child, right?
Yes.
Right. So even if the child falls, they will pick up the child again, right? And put him in the lap and say, don't worry, child, you made an effort to stand up and walk, try again, right? Similarly, spiritual life is also like that, right? If somebody has taken to spiritual life with great sincerity, and on the way they slipped and fell down, or they could not complete the spiritual life, or they become less enthusiastic, that never gets lost. So Krishna picks you up and gets you to start again, right? Overall. And because the Lord is always watching us, right, in this world. He's a super soul in our heart. And every moment he's like the parent looking at the child, he's keeping his eyes on us, right? What my devotee is trying to so this is how Krishna is looking at you, right, at all the time. There's a beautiful painting of Vrindavan, right? Madan Mohan temple in the background, and Yamuna river flowing by. I'm still in the hangover from Vrindavan. Right. So then Krishna speaks about that in humanity. There are two categories of people: one who is non-regulated, and the other one who is regulated. Right. So non-regulated का मतलब क्या? Are they like barbaric animals? Right? So they हमको नॉन रेगुलेटेड बार्बरिक एनिमल्स लगते हैं कि जंगल ड्वेलर होंगे, जो ट्राइबल होगा, जिसको कुछ नॉलेज नहीं है, कुछ नहीं. द आंसर इज नो. They may be civilized men, they may be wearing coats, coat, pants, suit, tie, all of that, but they may be atheistic, right? They may even be educated with big degrees and doctorates, but they still may be atheistic. They may have very strong body. They may be actors. They may look like so handsome, so beautiful, very pretty, but they may be uncivilized. Or they may be uncivilized, right? Some of them may be so beautiful in speech. उनसे बात करोगे कितना अच्छा बात करता है, कितना प्यारा बात करता है. They may have very good degrees. Harvard से पढ़ा होगा, कहीं से पढ़ा होगा, right? But at the same time, they're eating, they're eating meat, they're drinking wine, they're faithless, they have no faith, right? So in God's eyes, all of them come in the non-regulated category. So what is the regulated category? The people who who are the followers of the scriptures, who want mental enjoyment, but through God, right? Overall. So that's first kind of regulated people. They want mental enjoyment, but they want through God, right? So which is the category of these devotees? We just learned, right? Nishkam Karma Yogis, right?
Hmm.
Right. So that's one category, right? So it's like, a child, even if he wanted chocolate, right, he has to go to his mother. And through mother only he should eat the chocolate. I've given this example before. He should not go and try and get a chocolate surrounded by flies by his own, right? These people, they are followers of God, and they say, if Krishna gives me, I will accept it. If he does not give me, I'm still okay. So we'll ask things from God, right? Overall. The second category, which is which is people who are working on liberation, right? So overall, so Gyanis, Yogis, Bhaktas, right? These are people who are who are people in the path of auspiciousness. Never, and Krishna assures that never a person who has walked this auspicious path will go down in vain, because it's such a blessed path, and the Lord considers these people as their good sons, and those who are non-regulated, Krishna considers them as their bad sons, right? Um, so therefore, Lord assures Arjuna, right? If you don't control your mind, if you couldn't control your mind, never mind, no problem, right? But the human form, we have got developed intelligence, right? Overall. and we can discriminate and we can lead responsible lives, right? Overall. So we should use it to discriminate what is right, what is wrong. We should use it to discriminate what is good, what is bad, and what to do and what not to do. That's where our intelligence comes in. And then we have to take the right decision. Like unlike animals who act with instinct. Instinct का क्या मतलब? That you will see highway pe when you're driving, right? Overall, again, I've been going through the highway a lot. You will see animals crossing the road. इतनी बड़ी लॉरी आ रही है, फिर भी वो रोड क्रॉस कर रहा है, राइट? उसको लग रहा है लॉरी स्लो आ रही है, मैं रोड क्रॉस कर लेता हूँ, राइट? और दे डोंट हैव एनी डिस्क्रिमिनेशन की इतनी बड़ी गाड़ी है तो मैं तो कभी भी आई विल गो राइट. सिमिलरली एनिमल्स विल पुट देयर माउथ इन द वो रेड़े पे जो फ्रूट लेके करते रहते, राइट? उसको हम बार बार मंकीज को हम देख रहे थे वृंदावन में, वो जाके केला चोरी कर रहे थे या मैंगो चोरी करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, भले ही उनकी पिटाई हो जाए, right? They have no discrimination. They know they'll get beaten. They know they may die. They may know they will get beaten, but they will still have no discrimination, right? Because they will just do this. So they worked on instinct, right? But human beings can actually discriminate right or wrong, right? That is the power. Uh, this is the power we have got, right? For example, if human beings engage in sinful activities, right? Overall, what happens? So if you dig, if you eat like all kinds of dirty things, then what happens? You become like a pig who eats stool, right? Somebody is molesting a woman, he becomes a lusty dog in his next life, right? And in between the two, you see there's a super soul who's watching, right? You can see the super soul in the picture.
Yes.
So super soul is still watching, right? And that's how you get your lower forms, right? Overall. So accordingly we get our bodies, right? But if you lead responsible lives following religious principles, then you don't have to go through all this, right? Somebody is doing austerity, right? Whether he's doing Ashtanga yoga, thinking about the Lord, meditating on the Lord, or chanting the Lord's name, like we are doing. Krishna, in fact, says in the Bhagavad Gita that amongst all the sacrifices, I am the chanting sacrifice, right? Overall, or you're doing cultivation of knowledge, like you're cultivating knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, or you associate with saintly people, you go to a temple, you hear lectures, you talk to devotees, overall, right? So if you do these things, these are all positive activities, right? So in this way, the association of saintly people can take you out of the samsara and take you back to Godhead. So what is it saying? Durlabha manava janma. Durlabh means, what does Durlabha mean?
Hard to find.
Sorry?
Hard to find.
Yeah, hard to find. So you saying this Manav Jan is so durlabh. Sat Sange means get Sangha of devotees, right? So if you do these if you do these positive activities, right, in this way, getting the association of saintly people, you get out of the samsara, and that's how you go back to Godhead, right? So in fact, there are nine devotional spiritual activities that Prabhupada explains. It's written in the Bhagavatam. Shravana, Kirtam, Smarana, Vandana, Pada Sevana, Dasara. I'll go to the specific shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's very beautiful. A second. So Prahlad Maharaj is actually talking about this. It's amazing for us to learn from. So what is it saying? Shri Pralad Uvacha Shavanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam. And so what is it saying? Shri Prahlad Maharaj says Shravanam means hearing, which is what you are doing right now. Kirtan is what you do, which is where you chant the holy name of Lord Vishnu, not anyone else. Very clearly saying not anyone else. Smarana means remembering, right? If you remember Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna every day, you can get out of this entanglement. For example, I send you one of the meditation of the day. दिन में जितनी बार हो सके ना, आप भगवान के पैरों को याद करो. Feet of Lord Krishna. Beautiful feet. You go to a temple, you see the deity's feet. अगर deity के feet को भी याद कर दो ना, you can go back to Godhead, right?
Just to intervene. लोग कहते हैं कि आंख मिलानी चाहिए कि आपकी नजरों से दूर ना हो, तो फीट का क्या रिलेवेंस है? मैंने देखा जैसे आप भी वर्शिप करते हो, आप क्लिक करते हो फीट की फोटो, तो समझना चाह रहा हूँ।
सो देखो, हमारा गोल क्या है लाइफ का? व्हाट इज
गॉडहेड
इट?
पे वापस जाना।
हाँ, और हमें भगवान की सेवा करना, इट इज
हाँ। हाँ।
सर्विंग इज लोटस फीट, right? So पाद सेवनम is serving the feet, right? Overall. So भगवान के फीट में हमको फाइनली वी वांट टू सर्व हिज, राइट? जब आपके पास कोई बड़ा आता है तो आप क्या करते हो?
पैर छूते हैं।
पैर
या आप
छूते हो।
उनसे आंखें मिलाते हो,
पैर छूते हैं।
पैर छूते हैं।
राइट? तो अब सबसे बड़ा कौन है?
भगवान।
क्या
कृष्णा।
करना चाहिए हमेशा? तो
समझ
हमेशा जब हम भगवान को देखते हैं, राइट, हमें हमेशा पैर से शुरू करना चाहिए। तो हमें
गॉट इट।
पैर से शुरू करके धीरे 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 देखना चाहिए, अरे भगवान ने आज पैर में क्या पहना हुआ है, अरे रिंग पहनी हुई है, अच्छा फूल पहने हुए हैं। फिर आप ऊपर जाना चाहिए, फिर आपको देखना चाहिए ओ येलो कलर की धोती है, ओ धोती में बेल्ट है, वो इतनी सुंदर बेल्ट है, फ्लावर की बेल्ट है। फिर आप वेस्ट पे जाते हो, ये क्या ज्वेलरी पहनी हुई है भगवान ने, ओ ये कपड़ा पहना हुआ है जैसे ग्वाले पहनते हैं। फिर आप ऊपर जाते हो, फिर आप देखते हो कि भगवान ने नेकलेसेस पहने हुए हैं, अरे एक नेकलेस, दो नेकलेस, तीन नेकलेस, ओ फूल की माला, ओ गेंदे का फूल है, ओ रोज का फूल है, ओ ये वाला फूल है, वो वाला फूल है। फिर आप देखते हो भगवान के आर्म्स को देखते हो, ओ आओ कितने अच्छे सुंदर आर्म्स है, इन्होंने आर्म्स में क्या पहना हुआ है ओवरऑल। फिर आप हैंड्स को देखते हो, फिंगर्स को देखते हो, फिर आप नेक पे जाते हो, ओ एक और ज्वेलरी पहनी हुई है। फिर आप फेस पे जाते हो, भगवान के चीक्स कितने अच्छे हैं, चिन कितनी अच्छी है, कि भगवान कैसे स्माइल कर रहे हैं। फिर आप आइस पे जाते हो, that's the way to really see the deity, right?
मेरी
You always start from the feet because that is our destination. We want to be at the feet of the Lord, right? That's our final feet. We want His mercy, right? Uh, right. So, sorry, got distracted. So, Pad Sevna, which is next to serving the feet. Archana means offering worship, right? जो भी हम पूजा करते हैं, paraphernalia भगवान को होते हैं. Vandanam means offering prayer. So, like Jai Radha Madhav, like that's a prayer. Whenever you see, now you know this one prayer. We learn more आगे जाके. But now that you've learned this, sing Jai Radha Madhav in front of Krishna. He loves it, right? Or any other prayers that you know. Dasyam, this is our final destination to become the servant of, become the servant. तो हम servant कैसे बनते हैं? By serving Vaishnavas, because Lord Krishna loves his Vaishnavas more than he loves himself, right? Sakyam by becoming his best friend. Atma Nivedanam by surrendering everything, whatever we have, right? Whatever we have, we should serve to Krishna. Sakyam best friend means जब भी हमें कुछ भी चाहिए हम कृष्णा से मांगते हैं, राइट? सो प्रभुपाद का एग्जांपल है, व्हेन प्रभुपाद वाज स्मॉल, वो उनकी ही एंड हिज सिस्टर वुड फ्लाई अ काइट, राइट? इवन वो काइट फ्लाइंग करते वो कृष्णा को प्रे करते मेरी काइट को ऊपर ले जाओ, राइट? that's what you do with a best friend, you ask him for everything, right? तो बोलते मेरी काइट को ऊपर ले जाओ। वो बचपन में भी वो ऐसा अपनी काइट को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए करते थे। वन ऑफ माय my own counselor, right? Very senior devotees of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. She was telling me that उनके घर मेड नहीं थी 2 दिन के लिए, right? And she has beautiful deities at her house. She said, Radha Madhav, maid लेके आओ, मैं नहीं तो आपकी सेवा कैसे करूं? And she said, 2 days I got a maid. You are like fully dependent on Krishna for everything, right? So you start talking like a friend to him, right? Overall. So that's right. So that's basically what is it. We should. So this is what he's saying, right? Prabhupada is explaining. Prahlad Maharaj said, hearing and chanting what the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord's one best friend, and surrendering everything into him. In other words, serving him with body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired the complete knowledge. This is the complete knowledge. Ye knowledge is the final knowledge, right? So when Prahlad Maharaj was asked by his father to say something from whatever he had learned, he considered that what he had learned from his spiritual master was the best of all teachings, whereas what he had learned from about diplomacy from his material teachers Sanda and Amarka was useless, right? So he says the bhakti hi pareshana bhuvo viraktir anyat racha This is the symptom of pure devotional service. A pure devotee is interested only in devotional service, not in material affairs. To execute devotional service, one should always engage in hearing and chanting about Krishna or Lord Vishnu. The process of this temple worship is called Archana. How to perform Archana is explained herein. One should have complete faith in the words of Krishna, who says that he is the great well-wishing friend of everyone. Right? A devotee considers Krishna as the only friend. Krishna, the only friend. This is called Sakhyam. Pumsar Pita Vishnu. The word Pumsa here means by all living entities. There are no distinctions permitting only a man or only a Brahmana to offer devotional service to the Lord. Everyone can do so. ऐसा कोई restriction नहीं है कि कोई पूजा नहीं कर सकता. Of course, in the temple, there is certain level of qualification you need, but at home, you have your deities, take care of them. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, right? It says that Striyo Vaishyas Tatha Sudraste Ape Anyati Param Gatim. Although women, Vaishyas and Shudras are considered less intelligent, they can become pure devotee and return back to Godhead. So how do you become intelligent? By hearing the Bhagavad Gita. After performing sacrifices, sometimes a person engaged in fruitive activity customarily offers the results to Vishnu. But here it is said, one must offer directly everything to Krishna. Bhagavati Adhaha. That is called sannyasa, not merely nyasa. A three-dandi sannyasi carries three dandas. So you will see sannyasis, they will have they will have this orange danda, जो ऐसे orange कपड़े से होगा, उसके अंदर तीन डंडे होते हैं, right? The three dandas are body, mind, and words. So which means everything is now around the saffron cloth in Krishna's service, body, mind, and words, right? So all these should be offered to Vishnu, and then one can begin devotional service. Right? If fruitative workers like us fruit perform some pious activities, then formally or officially we offer the results to Vishnu. The real devotee, however, first offers his surrender to Vishnu with his body, mind, and words, and then uses his body, mind, and words for the service of Krishna as Krishna desires. Clear?
हाँ
Okay.
हाँ, मतलब समझ में आ गया कि बेसिकली जो भी करना है उन्हीं को दे दो, बाकी वो सब संभाल लेते हैं वैसे भी.
हाँ, right. And you should read this purport. It's very nice. इसमें पूरा डिटेल में सब एक एक भक्ति का स्टेप सिखा हुआ है. श्रवणम, कीर्तनम, सबको डिटेल में किया हुआ है. राइट, प्लीज रीड दिस. इज वेरी ब्यूटीफुल. दिस सारे कॉन्सेप्ट पूरे हो जाएंगे. राइट, ओवरऑल स्मरणम पूरा एक एक को बहुत डिटेल में एक्सप्लेन किया हुआ है. राइट, इज अ ब्यूटीफुल बेसिक्स ABCD ऑफ एवरीथिंग. राइट, फॉर एग्जांपल नाउ यू लर्न साधु जो सन्यासी डंडा पकड़ते हैं वो क्या होता है. राइट, तो इतना इसमें सब कुछ है. Very beautiful, like and all encompassing things on how to do bhakti.
Which page is this?
This is 7.5 7.5 Bhagavatam ka 23-24 7.5.2.3.24. So if you just write SB 7.5.23 in Google, you will get to this Veda base ka link, which is what I'm reading. Right. And Rahul, you have Srimad Bhagavatam at home, so you can open the 7th canto and read this.
317. ठीक है. Yeah. I'm also trying to find it, but yeah, I'll bookmark it. Thank you.
Right. So this is what Prabhupada is calling as abhyasa. One should hear the katha or the spiritual lecture. One should have the mood of a servant, just dasyam. One should remember Bhagwan Smaranam, like Prahlad Maharaj remember. One should service the lotus feet of the Lord. And this is what is called as a Navavidha Bhakti. I don't know if you've heard of it, but with the Navavidha Bhakti Sikho. This is how you, this is the highest form of Bhakti. Finally, this leads to love for Godhead. Right? Right? Yeah, so the examples given, Smarana is Prahlad Maharaj, Dasya is Hanuman, Shravana is Parikshit Maharaj. When Srimad Bhagavatam, he was about to die, 7 days he only did that. Kirtana is Sukhdev Goswami, who was giving the Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 nights and 7 days without non-stop. Pada Sevnam is Lakshmi Devi, who was always serving the lotus feet of the Lord. And Vandana is Akrura, right? He saw the footsteps of the Lord when he was coming to Vrindavan. Akrura was sent by Kamsa to get Krishna to Mathura so that he could fight with him and kill him. But he was such a big devotee. वो वृंदावन पहुंचे, उन्होंने फुटस्टेप्स देखे, वो उनको वर्शिप करने लगे. उनको कृष्णा की याद आने लगे. लोटस फीट ऑफ द लॉर्ड, which is what we learnt about. Pujna, there's a story of Prithu Maharaj. Sakhyam is Arjuna. Atmanivedanam is Bali Maharaj ka story. Again, we'll cover that story आगे जाके, right? Overall. So this is what we call as sorry. This is what we call as worshipping the Lord, right? Overall. And then gradually we elevate ourselves to the kingdom of God, right? So if you look at this ladder on the right side, right, it's starting from below and upar there's Radha Krishna. Right? So this is the gradual thing, and this is all our anarthas, right? Envy, ignorance, anger, false, prestige, pride, greed, attachment, right? Then you meet a spiritual master, and the spiritual master accepts you, and then you know you become serious about learning the scriptures, or a teacher comes to you, then you study the Vedas, then you do austerity. Like for example, I told you about this month Purushottam month, you should do some austerity, right? So that austerity you should follow very strictly, right? Then you get your senses in control, because austerity का मतलब क्या होता है? जैसे आपने बोला कि मैं इस महीने मैं ये करूंगा, तो मतलब आप माइंड को कंट्रोल कर पा रहे हो, राइट? मैं बोलूँ मैं ये नहीं खाऊंगा, या मैं दिन में एक बार खाऊंगा, या मैं ये चीज नहीं करूंगा, मैं चाय टी कॉफी नहीं पीऊंगा, मैं अनियन गार्लिक छोड़ूंगा, वो भी जो भी आप ऑस्टेरिटी सोचते हो, द ऑस्टेरिटी इज इंपॉर्टेंट टू कंट्रोल आवर माइंड, बिकॉज माइंड तो चाहता है मैं सब खाऊं, मैं सब करूं, right? For example, in this month, a lot of people say that I will become a I'll be a brahmachari in this month. What are you doing? You're controlling your sexual desires. That's austerity. Then that's how you control your senses, and that's how you reach your spiritual consciousness and you reach God, right? Or overall. Right? So this is the process to elevate. But if you look at the downward steps, that is unregulated people, right? The upward step leads to a divine couple who are following the studies of the Vedas overall, and that's how you keep going up and up. And niche rahoge to then you get more down and down and down and down, right? So Krishna says, right? Um, so Krishna says sometimes some yogis, though they perfected their practice somehow by faith, or they develop a desire to enjoy suddenly. वो suddenly कुछ होता है कि हम करें, because their vasanas attached, right? Overall. So, for example, we know the story of Vishwamitra, who got attached to Menaka. Or the left में आप देखो, there is Saubara Muni, right? He was performing meditation underwater for thousands of years. But in that water, he became attracted to the two fishes. You see the two fishes on his left, right, who were mating, right? And he wanted to come out of the water, and he wanted to marry the daughters of the of the Mandata king, right? So even though both of them, right, Vishwamutra Muni or Saubara Muni, they fell from their position eventually. They came back. Right? Saubara Muni again came back and became a devotee. All his wives became devotees, and they went back to Godhead. Similarly, second, similarly, Vishwamitra Muni was allured by Menaka for a while, and he got Shakuntala as his daughter. Then again he went to the forest, and again he was allured by Ramba. But this time he didn't fall down, but he got angry and cursed her to become a stone, so he fell down by his anger. And ultimately, he became a devotee of Rama, of Lord Ram, and he perfected his life. And in fact, he became one of the big Brahma rishis that we have in Sanatan Dharma, right? Uh, so Krishna says, even an unsuccessful Vigyu who falls down, he comes back and he continues his practice. In fact, we should read this look. Actually, let me get to the purport only. It's nice again. So what is this? What is this loka? प्राप्य पुण्य कृतम लोकन उसित्वा सरस्वती स्म समाः सूचिनं श्रीमतं गेहे योग भरस्तो अभिजायते प्राप्य पुण्य कृतम लोकन उसित्वा शाश्वता समाः सूचिनं श्रीमतं गेहे योग भ्रष्टाः अभिजायते. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entity, is born into a family. So what happens? Now he's telling what happens. So first he said, "Kuch, you will come back." Now how do you come back? Right? Is born in the family of righteous people, or into a family of rich aristocracy. Right? So he's saying the unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One who's fallen after very little progress, and one who's fallen with long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to higher planets where pious living entities are allowed to enter. right? After a prolonged life there, he won his son back to this planet to take birth in a family of writers, Brahmana, Vaishnava, or of an aristocratic merchants. The real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last verse of this chapter. So finally, this Krishna will end this chapter with this, because then he's talking about Bhakti Yoga in the next chapters, right? For those who do not persevere to such an extent, and who fail because of material elements, are allowed by the grace of the Lord to make full utilization of their material propensities. Because उनको कुछ material propensities है, तो भगवान कहते हैं कर लो पूरी. And after that, they are given opportunities to live prosperous life in writers or aristocratic families. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to Krishna consciousness, right? So we'll go back to the presentation and then, right? So they say, because these people still have some material desires, they will go to heaven. And then the material desires are fulfilled and they exhaust their material desires. Now again, becoming free from material desires, they come back to earth again, and in earth they do Suchinam. They are born in Brahmana families like this, right? So right, so that's basically what he's saying, right? So this is like, for example, a Brahmana family. There is, so there's wife and children. They eat nice prasadam. Everything is offered to the Lord. They do yagna. They worship the Lord. All that thing. They lead a very pure life. So be from even at a small young age of a boy or a girl. Boy is wearing a secret thread, folding his palms and praying before eating food. The lady itself, his mother is a very chaste woman. She's cooking varieties of food stuff. So the children get good sanskaras right from childhood. They're born in a Brahmana family, right? Or they're born in an aristocratic family. Sometimes, for example, you see rich Vaishya families, like typically if you see Marwadi families, Agarwal families, right? They will always have Radha Krishna deity, right? They worship them from the time they were born, right? In a good family, right? Because why are they born in rich aristocratic families? Because there is no worry about money, right? So that is so that as soon as they're born, they can focus on devotional service. In a Brahmana family, they get good sanskara. So that's how you typically move, right? Overall. So, right. So, what then he's asking, what happens to somebody who's done 90% Krishna consciousness? What happens here? So, this is what is mentioned in this sloka, right? Overall, Athiva yoginam eva kule bhavati dhimatam itad bhi durlabhratam loke janma yadishram, right? So it says, so in fact, there's a beautiful example of this on the left that you see. This is Srila Prabhupada, right? He's has his Jagannath Rath, and he's doing puja of the Jagannath Rath, and with his sister, right? Overall. So when he was a small boy, he was so enthusiastic. He would see his father, Gaur Mohan Dey, worshipping the deities of Radha Krishna in the altar every morning. And morning he would wake up with ding 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 ding. That bell was immediately done. So immediately both the brother and sister would jump off their bed, take a quick bath, and join the arti. Right? So they became so Krishna conscious that sometimes they would, as I said, right, anything that they wanted, right, they would pray to Krishna, right? I give you the example of even the kite, right? Overall, and both of them would pray to Krishna, saying, Krishna, you take care of me, everything. मतलब छोटी छोटी चीज के लिए they would ask Krishna, because that's how the father had trained them. Right? Every day they would go and take darshans of Radha Govind Ji. So if you go to Calcutta, and Prabhupada's house has been restored, now become like a small temple. They're trying to make a nice temple there. But the place where he was born, under the jamun tree, is, that place has been restored, and you can go and get darshans. Opposite that, there's a small temple. There's a small, actually nice temple, Radha Govind Ji ka. So every day they would go to Govind Ji temple and take darshans, right? And then as he was becoming big, he used to take out this whole Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra ka Rath Yatra. Right? And 9 days he would celebrate the Rath Yatra. Although it was a children's game that he was doing, but even elders came and joined. Matajis would prepare bhoga and offer. Many men would join, right? In this way, whoever has done Krishna consciousness for a long time, right? They're reborn in the world, and they're born in such families right from childhood. They will have inclination towards Krishna. They will worship the Lord. They will put a festival for the Lord. They will have no material inclinations at all. Right? So two types of yogis Krishna is talking about, right? Overall. they revived the divine consciousness naturally attracted. Prabhupada was born in such family as lucky families, right? Parikshit Maharaj was born in such family. Uddhava was born in such family. Prabhupada was born in such family. And Prabhupada says that even he and his guru, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, both were born in lucky families, right? Because they have devotional mindset right from the start, right? Overall. So जिन्होंने कम करी है वो जाएंगे स्वर्ग वर्ग में सारे मटेरियल एंजॉयमेंट्स अपनी पूरी करके they'll come back to earth. They will be born in a Brahmana family or a wealthy family, right? People who've done 90% will born in a family where they will be doing Krishna consciousness massively from the start only, right? So in any case, the yogi is never lost, right? Overall. Then in my message, I also give you the example of Bharat Maharaj on the right hand side, right? ऊपर deer है यहाँ पे, right? Bharat Maharaj became a deer. He was such a big king, such a big thing. He left everyone to be in the jungle to concentrate on the Lord. But he somehow got distracted in the spiritual practice and got attracted to a deer. So in next life, he became a deer. But he didn't lose much even in a deer's body. He remembered the past life and he sincerely repented. So he left his birthplace in the mountain he was born in. He was born in a Kalanjara mountain, and he went to Pulika Muni's ashram to take association of saintly people. He didn't eat any lush green grass. He ate dry grass because he didn't want to get entangled with material attachment. So wet grass, अच्छे grass के चक्कर में वो घूमेगा फिर वापस distract हो जाएगा. So he used to eat dry grass. He had intense spiritual emotions even as a deer. So in the next life, when he was born as Jad Bharata Brahmin, he became a pure devotee and went back to Godhead in that lifetime, right? So three lives of Bharat Maharaj, right? Even if you see in the deer's body, right, all these benefits were there, which clearly shows, right? मतलब वो गया आश्रम छोड़ के he dry खा रहा है, austerity कर रहा है, he's hearing the munis, he's getting association, all of that, even as a deer, right? So Krishna protects the devotion of his devotees, right? Overall. So Kaunteya prati janihi nama bhakta pranashati. So in this way, even if one takes the path of auspicious path, and anybody who takes the auspicious path, there is no loss, right? Overall. Right? Um, yeah, so this is the whole story, right? So now we'll come to the last part, right? Which is of why, which is yogi, right? So what is EAS? Who remembers?
Enemy of mine, Ashtanga Yoga, success and failure,
And
via
why is
Bhagavad.
yogi? Very good, right? So sorry. Right, so this is the last part, which is yogi, right? So now Krishna has spoken to many type of people, and here he will he will say he will now finally speak about bhakti yoga, right? Overall. So actually, let's go to the sloka itself, 6.46. So what was it say? Tapasvi bhaya adhikaha yogi jnani bhaya api mata adhika karmi bhaya cha adhikaha yogi tasmat yogi bhava arjuna. A yogi is greater than the ascetic, rather than the imperialist, empiristic, and greater than the fruitative worker. Therefore, Arjuna, all in all circumstances, be a yogi, right? So this is what Prabhupada is explaining on this, right? Saying Arjuna become a tapasvi, right? Do austerities. So he says, a tapasvi does austerities. He may eat less, he may sleep less, he may be detached, but better than them is a jnani who's more enlightened, and better than such people, all these people is a karmi, or niskam karmi, which we learned, right? He may still be engaged, but his heart, he may not be fully pure. But you become a yogi. And what is a yogi? This is where he's finding. That is the second question, Sudipta. Right? That what do? You become a Bhakta yogi. So this is how Krishna is connecting everything to saying that finally you become a Bhakta yogi, right? Better than all of this is Bhakta yoga, right? And this is where Krishna is introducing Bhakti yoga at the end of the sixth chapter. And then, of course, seventh chapter and all is just the outstanding pieces, like the most amazing stuff you will read. Right? So what is this? Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantar atmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mata. and of all the yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and understands and loving service into me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and highest of all. That is my opinion. So now I think there's nothing better than Bhakti Yoga, right?
Hmm.
Bhakti Yoga is the highest of all, right? Overall. So it's a nice purport. Overall, so Prabhupada is writing, right? He's saying the word bhajate is significant here. Bhajate has its root in the verb bhaj, which is used when there is need of service. The English word worship cannot be used in the same sense as bhaj. Worship means to adore or to show respect and honor to a worthy one. But service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod and may be called discourteous, but one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus every living entity is entitled to serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. Failing to do so, he falls down. Right? So Bhagavatam confirms, Ya esham purusham shakshat atma prabhavan ishwaram na bhajanti avajananti sthanat bhrastaha bhrastataha patanti adha. Anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty to the primary Lord, who is the source of all living entities, certainly fall down from his constitutional position. Again, in this verse, Bhajanti is used. Bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, where the word worship can be applied to demigods or any other living entities. Um, the word avajananti used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavad also found in the Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti mam mudha. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Such fools take it upon themselves to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita without an attitude or service of the light. So you will see lots of Bhagavad Gita. वो कृष्णा के बारे में नहीं बोलेंगे, सब हवा में बोल बोल के फिलॉसफी बोल बोल के खत्म, राइट?
Hmm.
Consequently, they cannot properly distinguish between the word bhajanti and the word worship. तो इसका मतलब all gods are one. You will see lots of places, right? All gods are one. मतलब आप किसी को भी पूजा कर लो, वो सब एक है, right? So that's how what happens, right? वो worship and bhajanti को confuse करते हैं. So now he's finally saying the culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in bhakti yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to a point of bhakti in bhakti yoga. Yoga actually means bhakti yoga. All other yogas are progression towards the destination of bhakti yoga. From the beginning of karma yoga to the end of bhakti yoga is a long way to self realization. तो हमने वो पढ़ा था, right? वो ladder, वो lift, एक 50
Hmm.
story की building है. Either
Hmm.
you can walk step by step or you can take a lift and reach directly the 50th floor. So bhakti yoga is like the lift, right?
Express elevator.
Express
Lot
elevator.
of it.
Yeah. Right. So karma yoga without fruited results is the beginning of this path. When karma yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, this stage is called as jnana yoga. When jnana yoga, though he is explaining the ladders of spiritual it's when of realization. When jnana yoga increases in meditation on the super soul by different physical processes on the mind on him is called Ashtanga yoga, which is what we learned right now. And when one surpasses the strong yoga and comes to the point of Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, which is what I was telling you, right? The highest form of even Ashtanga yoga is concentrating on the God. But वो कर ही नहीं सकते, बहुत मुश्किल है, right? Overall. Straight बैठो, जंगल में जाओ, वो सब करो, right? Overall. Minutely, one has to find fact. So yeah, it is called Bhakti Yoga, the culmination. Actually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal. But to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. That is why the Bhagavad Gita, why Krishna is explaining all the yogas. The yoga who is progressive is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name. Karma yogi, jnana yogi, dhyan yogi, raja yogi, hatha yogi, etc. If one is fortunate to come to the point of bhakti yogi, it is said to be understood that he has surpassed all other yogas.
Hmm.
Therefore, to become Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of yoga, right? Just as we speak of Himalayan, in fact, I'm in front of the mountains. I'm in Rishikesh. If we refer to the world's highest mountain, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. It is
Hmm.
by great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga to become well situated according to Vedic. So it's absolutely that somebody has come in and made you Krishna conscious. Like, yeah, this is the best thing that can happen to anybody, right? The best thing ever happened to me in my life, right? Krishna says this is a time, so he will send someone to get you, right? The ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, which is called a Sham Sundara, who is beautifully colored as a cloud, whose lotus-like face is effulgent as the sun, whose dress is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garlanded. illuminating all sides is his gorgeous luster, which is called as the Brahma Jyotir. He incarnates in different forms such as Ram, Narasimha, Rara, Krishna, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He descends like a human being as the son of Mother Yashoda, and is known as Krishna, Govinda, or Vasudev. He is a perfect child, husband, or father, or friend, or a master, and is full with opulences and transcendental qualities. We learn about Krishna's qualities, right? If one remains fully consciousness or conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called as the highest yogi. The stage of the highest perfection yoga can be attained only by a bhakti yogi, as confirmed in all the Vedic literatures. Yasya deve para bhaktir, yasya deve tatha guru, tasya te kathita hai arthaha, prakashante mahatmana. Only those great souls who have implicit faith in both in the Lord and the spiritual master are the imports of the Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Right? Bhakti rasa bhajanam tad ihamutra padhi nairashya Nairashena musmin mana kalpana iti eva naishkaryanam. Bhakti means devotional service to the Lord, which is free from desire for material profit. So this is the other question you had asked, right? Should we should we ask Krishna for anything? Yes, you can, right? As Prabhupada's example or anybody's examples I gave you. But the final stages where you get, that is a good start. But when you become free from desire for material profit, either in this life or the next life, devoid of such inclination, one should fully absorb the mind in the Supreme. That is the purpose of Dash Karma. These are some of the means of performance of Bhakti or Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of the yoga system. This ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport to the 6th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of Dhyan
Yoga.
Yoga, right? Right. So this is, so Krishna is using the word Yukta Tama, right? Which means Krishna is using, he's talking about Bhakti Yogi, who's coming to the point of Shravanam Kirtana, which is the all 9 stages you heard, right? Overall. So in all the classes before this, right? I told you that Bhakti Yogi is higher. Again, the lift example, right? The accelerated path, right? Overall. Yeah, and this is the only direct method, right? Everything else is an indirect method, right? And direct method with Bhakti Yoga, where you come to the point you are convinced, right? So if you are convinced now that you are at the point where you heard all these days that there is Supreme Lord is Krishna, He's created the spiritual worlds and the material worlds, He is the Swami, the ultimate master. All the devtas bow down to salute Him. We are all His devotees, right? And to be with Him means we are happy to be. We are happy. To be away from Him means we are suffering. To look, overall. So when you look towards Krishna, you are happy. When you turn away from Krishna, you are unhappy, right? Um, and just like Arjuna, right? When he turned away from Krishna and he thought, I will decide, he was weeping. And when he looked towards Krishna and surrendered to him, he became happy, right? So if you are all convinced that about all this, that Bhakti Yoga is the highest, now the 7th chapter will begin, right? So in fact, a lot of this say कि भगवत गीता सिखानी 7 चैप्टर से रही है, फिर आप लास्ट के चैप्टर्स करो और शुरू के फर्स्ट 7 चैप्टर्स करो, right? Because उसी में आपकी लाइफ सॉर्टेड हो जाएगी, right? So, and then the other chapters are just steps towards the Bhakti Yoga. Right? So, just by hearing about Krishna, Arjuna, and by just hearing from Krishna, Arjuna has come to a point where he understands that Bhakti Yoga is the supreme of all. Similarly, you and me have understood that Bhakti Yoga is the supreme of all. Overall, and then you understood the difference between Bhakti Yoga and all other yogas, right? You understood Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Stang Yoga. And all of that is based on your endeavors. And this enormous endeavors from your side to control the mind, right? It's like keeping a tiger or a lion in control, right? So if you keep a tiger and lion in control, वो क्या करेगा? वो rope को तोड़ के या तुम्हें खा लेगा या तुम्हें जोर से मार के भाग जाएगा forest में, right? So like that, the senses can cheat a yogi overall, and overall, right? So that's what we learn. In the path of Gyan Yoga, you have to do exhaustive literature study, right? And in fact, अगर आप मठा में जाओगे, only sannyasis are allowed to do that. Nobody else can do it. Ladies, men, even we can't do it, right? It's not easily awarded to common people. In Karma Yoga, you can get submerged, right? As we said, you have a family, you have a wife, you want a bigger house, then you want more, then you want to maintain the house, then you spend more, you want to work more harder. So you can get entangled, right? You can get carried away by that, right? If one is not a very serious practitioner. So the path of action, the path of knowledge, the path of focus, all these paths have their allied troubles. But bhakti yoga means we are like a child. We learned about the parents, right? Picking up the child. We are like a child, and God is like the father. We give our heart to Him. When the heart goes to God, then all other things follow very easily, right? Uh, yeah, so it's like this, right? And the highest form of bhakti yoga is to develop love for Godhead. And when you develop love for Godhead, you basically want to serve Him. It's like it's like your kids, right? When a baby is born, the baby does potty, the baby does susu, the baby does vomiting, the baby does everything. But because of your love, you like to serve the baby, right? Similarly, your mother and father, right? You will carry the luggage for them, you want to serve them. So when your heart is there, all other senses will follow. Your hand, mind, everything will go towards baby. ये नहीं बोलेगा ना ये तो गंदा देख के कि potty है. ये देख के नहीं बोलेगा कि ये उल्टी है, right? You still want to take care of the baby. Yeah, your parents are old, they may have wrinkled faces, but you may still want to serve it because your senses are getting subdued, right? So this is the highest stage of senses getting subdued, right? Overall. So it's like that when you love for Krishna, all your senses come into control, right? So this is the ending of the first six chapters, right? Which is the karma section, right? So successfully, many of you have attended all the lectures till now, and we've completed the karma section. Those who have missed can take this on YouTube and ensure they cover this chapter as well. Um, Right. So in the first chapter, I spoke to you about karma and jnana, and I told you about how bhakti yoga is the jam in between, right? The most sweetest. Now we are starting to eat the jam, right? From the next session onwards, right? It's on bhakti yoga. So do not miss the jam. So people who missed it and will watch it on YouTube, do not miss it, right? Bhakti yoga, Krishna reveals like massive amount of truths about himself and about the world, very frankly, to Arjuna, right? And they're full of logical and reason. It's full of sweetness, right? So yeah, I think that's basically it, right? Overall, and that's what he's telling Arjuna also, right? He's saying Arjuna, right? He's telling Arjuna, don't refrain from the war. You're talking from a Dharma Shastra point of view. Duryodhana is talking from an Artha Shastra point of view. So he's money-minded man, and you're a Dharma-minded man. And I'm teaching you what is the highest Dharma, which is the Paro Dharma, which is even beyond, right? Because you are thinking of this from a very ordinary battle from a material point of view. But let me tell you that this is the Paro Dharma, Arjuna. It's ordained by me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and this is for the well-being of all the living entities. So amazing. We've covered one major part, one third of the Bhagavad Gita, and now we're coming to the bestest parts of the Bhagavad Gita. You should all congratulate yourself that you've stayed on and you continue to hear. And I'm sure it's been very enriching for you. I say abhi to next six chapters will hit it out of the park, right? मतलब हर ball will be a sixer. अभी ones और twos में खेल रहे थे, अभी हम sixers में खेलेंगे.
Wow.
Cool.
Yes.
Any questions?
Uh, can I ask something?
Ask.
Okay, so in this Bhagavad Gita as it is, the page 314 where जो आपने अभी पढ़ाया, right? उसमें भज के बारे में वो कह रहे हैं, so which is different from worship, right? It's like out of love you're doing it, right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
like मतलब वो honor नहीं, it's love, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the ultimate thing. Do it out of love, which means does that mean के जो ये कहते हैं कि ये ऐसे करो वैसे करो, ये फॉर्मेट में करो, ऐसे हाथ जोड़ो, ऐसे प्रणाम करो, that is what
That
is
is,
that?
so it's just जब कृष्णा एक्सेस विद लव, राइट? यशोदा मैया उसको डंडे मारती भी थी या उसको पकड़ के रोप से भी बांधती थी, बट इट वाज लव, राइट?
हाँ,
और एक साधु है, वो बोलेंगे ये करो वो करो, तो वो वेरी नाइस स्टोरी ऑफ एक्चुअली द डेटी ऑफ मदन मोहन इन वृंदावन. तो वृंदावन की आप फोटो देखोगे तो तभी भी मैंने आपको जो फोटो दिखाई, बड़ा टेम्पल है, तो हमेशा वृंदावन में यमुना मैया और वो मदन मोहन जी का टेम्पल है. यू सीन दैट? I'll just put that picture again for you.
हाँ, जो वो there was a kid and on one side
Yeah,
of the page and
yeah.
ऊपर से कृष्णा देख रहे थे. हाँ.
So अगर वृंदावन गूगल सर्च करोगे ना, you will always get that. I'll bring it up for you. एक second. You can see this,
Yes.
right? So this is literally the Vrindavan. कहीं भी आप मूवी में, पिक्चर में, कहीं भी करोगे वो यही होगी. तो इसकी बहुत अच्छी स्टोरी है इस डेटी की, राइट? So actually, there's one more story, but I'll tell you this, right? After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had sent Sanatan Goswami, right, the six Goswamis to Vrindavan, Sanatan Goswami lived a very simple life, right? There was a Brahman called as Purushottam Chaube Brahman, right? In this house was this beautiful deity of Madan Mohan. Sanatan Goswami used to notice that the family treated the deity like a child of the house. They would feed him casually, not follow any strict deity worship standards. बच्चे उनको लेके बाहर चले जाते थे, खेलते रहते थे मिट्टी में. ऐसा सब होता था, right? So initially Sanatan Goswami thought deity worship should be done according to proper rules, right? But Krishna appeared in his dream and told him, Sanatan, I'm very happy there. They serve me with affection and love. तो कृष्णा ने क्या सिखाया उनको, right? That Krishna values love more than formality, right? And later, of course, there's a beautiful story where Krishna arranged that he wants to go to Sanatan Goswami care, right? And the deity became Sanatan and became known as Madan Mohan. Actually, बहुत अच्छी story है. So then he told him, and then he went and said sorry to and Sanatan Goswami is such an advanced devotee, right? But he went to that Purushottam Chaube and he said, sorry, I told you all this. Krishna came and chastised me, right? Then Sanatan Goswami learned this lesson that love is more important, right? Overall. Then as Krishna came in the dream of Chaube Brahmin also. And he told him कि कल जो तुम्हारे पास आएंगे सनातन गोस्वामी, आप मुझे उनको हैंड ओवर कर देना. So then he handed over to him. Now he said Krishna came to him and told me, now you take care of me. You think they were not feeding me properly, now you take care of me. And Sanatan Goswami was a yogi, मतलब उनकी जगह भी नहीं थी. He would not sleep. They didn't have a house to sleep, nothing at all. वो मतलब ऐसे रोड पे यमुना किनारे सो जाते थे. और I'm not a deity is with him overall. तो अब and he used to not even earn anything. तो वो जो भी मांग के खाते थे, रोटी, सूखी रोटी, वही खा लेते थे, right? So what he would do, Sanatana Goswami said, now you've come to me, now you have to eat with me. You told me you want to come to me. So he said, you have to eat like how I eat. So what Sanatana Goswami used to do, whatever suki roti he would get, atta he would get, he would he would put water in it, melt it, and वो भट्टी जैसे आग लगा के उस पे भाटी खाते हैं ना, भाटी खाते थे गोल करके, भाटी खाते थे, right? So every day he would make that and he would serve to Krishna also, right? So love. And Krishna would stay happy with him. One day Krishna told him, यार तू मुझे सूखी भाटी खिला दो, उसमें कम से कम नमक तो डालो, right? So he said, but मैं तो मेरे को कोई देता नहीं है नमक, मैं कहाँ से आपको नमक दूं?
Yeah.
Right? So there's a very beautiful story. So then one day, the next day, उसी रात को यमुना में there was a very big क्या कहते हैं merchant. His name was Krishna Das Kapoor. Overall, he was sailing on the Yamuna, right? And his big boat, in which he was going, got stuck, right?
Hmm.
Overall. एंड दैट टाइम वृंदावन में डाकू होते थे, सब होते थे. तो उसको लगा मैं तो खत्म हो गया, कि मेरा पूरा इसमें पूरा सामान है, वेल्थ है, मैं पूरा लुट जाऊंगा, मैं क्या करूं? एंड ही स्टक, हिज बोट इज गेटिंग स्टक ऑन द साइड्स ऑफ द यमुना एंड ही कुडंट पास थ्रू, राइट? ही वाज ट्राइंग टू गो टू आगरा, राइट, वेयर ही वाज सपोज्ड टू सेल हिज स्टफ, and there's massive amount of stuff on it. So he got down from the boat to say, मैं किससे हेल्प मांगू, डाकू वाकू आ जाए. So he saw this small light, diya ka light, on top of this small hill, right? Which is now the Madan Mohan wala hill, right? It's on top of a small hill, and Yamuna used to flow along it. Up to Yamuna has gone far away. So in fact, they say that when Yamuna, as Yamuna Maiya, as well as Govardhan Parvat, राइट, उस वो हर 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 फ्यू इयर्स वो एक एक तिल का दाना जितना कम होते रहते हैं, तो जिस दिन वो दोनों खत्म हो जाएंगे, world will finish, right? Overall. So Yamuna Maiya is now very far away from Madan Mohan temple if you go. But every time during monsoon, Yamuna Maiya floods everything to come to Madan Mohan mountain. And they say she comes to touch the feet of बाके बिहारी जी, एंड देन शी रिसाइड्स. तो पूरे फ्लड्स होते हैं वृंदावन में, हर साल देखोगे, अभी लास्ट 2 साल से हो रहे हैं. बोट चल रही होती है रास्ते में. इट्स ब्यूटीफुल, राइट? और ऑल्सो दे से इट्स रमना भैया's plan. She comes back to touch the feet of बाके बिहारी जी, and then she goes back. हाँ, so going back to the story. This Krishnadas Kapoor, he saw this small light on top of the hill. So he went to the hill, and Sanatan Goswami was there praying. He said, please मुझे save करो. How do I do this? I have such a big container going and I will be finished. और डाकू मुझे मार देंगे, सब चोरी हो जाएगा. He said, I can't do anything. ये बैठे हैं भगवान, इनको बोल दो, ये मदन मोहन को बोल दो. यही कुछ कर सकते हैं. मैं तो वैसे भी एक साधु हूँ, मेरे पास तो कुछ भी नहीं है, मैं तो भीख भीख मांग के खाता हूँ. So then he prayed and he prayed and he went back and his boat got free. Big boat, right? And that boat had salt. It was full of salt, right? So then he came back. He said, मेरी boat free हो गई, मैं भगवान को मैं अब क्या दूं? कहता मैं थोड़ा salt लाया हूँ भगवान के लिए, वो दे देता. So this is how Krishna got salt to eat with that bhakti. Then that Krishnadas Kapoor went to Agra and he sold his entire thing. He got, I don't know, 10 times or 100 times the price he would normally get. He said, what is this? What has happened? He came back to Sanatana Goswami. He said, ये हुआ मेरे साथ. He said, मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? Then he said, आप मंदिर बना दो. मेरे भगवान तो जमीन में बारिश में भी गीले होते हैं, सब होते हैं. मैंने अभी कुटिया बनाई है, आप मंदिर बना दो. So that beautiful temple that you say, see, was created by Krishnadas Kapoor 500 years ago. It's one of the most beautiful temple, right? And of course, the temple ki story used to be very, very long. And then Aurangzeb used to see it from his fort in Agra. He said, मेरे से सुंदर क्या हो सकता है? So he came and attacked all of Vrindavan temples. It's very beautiful. Then there's different stories of all the deities and how the deities went everywhere. And some Madan Mohan ji went to Jaipur. So still, Govind Dev ji, Madan Mohan ji, and Gopinath ji, all of them went to Jaipur. Then the Jaipur mein the princess should take care of Madan Mohan ji. Then she got married. He took him to Karauli. That's different stories. But Aurangzeb saw this temple and he came to destroy the temple. So ऊपर के 4 फ्लोर उसने पूरे तोड़ दिए. Because वो टेम्पल की लाइट और इतना सुंदर उसको आगरा से दिखता था. But again, that's a different story. I went deviated. Vrindavan, though, I mean, I get just deviated anything out Vrindavan, right? But basically, yeah, this is the story, right? That heart is more important. There's another story also of Jagannath ji ka worship, right? Uh, so what is the story? I'm forgetting. So so जगन्नाथ को कौन वर्शिप करते थे, राइट? ओवरऑल, राइट? जो पुजारीज है उधर के, जो पांडाज है, राइट, दे कम फ्रॉम अ ट्राइबल फैमिली, राइट? सो जगन्नाथ का स्टोरी यही है, राइट? दैट इंद्रदम्ना किंग था, he wanted the Lord, and then he came to know there's a beautiful Neel Madhav form of the Lord, hidden in the jungle, but nobody could go there. So he sent all his and he renounced that he wanted to renounce everything and just worship the God, and he said, Bhagwan, please come to me, please come to me. अच्छा, नहीं, बहुत लंबी स्टोरी है, मैं बाद में बताऊंगा. जगन्नाथ की पूरी स्टोरी है. बट बेसिकली देयर वाज अ वेरी बिग साधु who came and who saw ये जो शबरी है, शबरी जो है ना, शबरी जो शबरी थी, जो राम भगवान को मिली थी, उन्हीं की फैमिली वर्शिप्स जगन्नाथ. तो वो शबरी तो ये कैसे वर्शिप करते हैं? तो दिस वन बिग साधु के and he said, भगवान की वर्शिप इस तरीके से होती है. He created all the formal process of worship, right? And so all the Shabris or the Pandas that serve him, they started to follow him because he was such a big saint, right? Overall. And that night, Jagannath came in the dream of the rishi, and he told him, how dare you tell them to change the worship of me? I like the way they said, whatever rules they follow, they follow. You don't tell them what is the formal rule. जो scriptures में लिखा हुआ है, right? And he transported him from Jagannath Puri. Next day morning, he was at some other place. Such a big saint.
Yeah.
So then Krishna says, basically Krishna expresses love. जो उनको प्यार से सर्व करता है वो करो. rules of course हमको ट्राई करना चाहिए जितना क्लीन कर सके, जितना रूल्स फॉलो कर सके, बट कृष्णा एक्सेप्ट्स ओनली लव, राइट. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि हम उनको अनियन गार्लिक खिलाएं या हम उनको मटन खिलाएं या हम उनको उनकी सेवा नहीं करें, उनकी सफाई, लाइक यू वुड डू फॉर अ किड, राइट. यू वुड क्लीन हिम एवरी डे, you would do things for him. So think of him as your kid, as your parents, like you would serve them. Serve Krishna that way. You have to develop your own relationship with Krishna, right?
Right.
And this is that relationship. You have to serve your Lord. Krishna accepts then, right? Overall. So that's basically how it is, right? In fact, they say there are 5 primary rasas or relationships with Krishna. I'm going into bilkul different tangents. There is Shanta rasa, which is what the sages do. There is Dasya rasa, which is what Hanumanji did. There's Sakhya rasa, which is what Arjuna or Sudama or the Vrindavan ke cowherd boys did. There is Vatsalya rasa, which is the Krishna is my child, which is Mother Yashoda, Nand Maharaj. Overall, right? They're always protecting Krishna. And then there is Madhurya Rasa, which is the highest form of rasa, which is what Radharani and the gopis of Vrindavan did. So you can have any relationship with Krishna, then you serve him accordingly, right? That's basically the overall meaning.
Perfect. Thank you. And I think also in Bhagavad Gita, as it is there in brackets, there's written like in this only the last page of chapter 6, it says Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.15, which means that this has been derived from reading all the Upanishads and everything. तो हमें तो कुछ और पढ़ने की जरूरत ही नहीं है फिर एक
नहीं नहीं,
समय
कुछ
में
भी
तो
पढ़ने की
सारी
जरूरत नहीं. Bhagavad Gita is the culmination of all the scriptures. So if you read Bhagavad Gita, your life is sorted, right? Of course, then you want to go advanced, then you read Srimad Bhagavatam, then you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, but you don't need to read any of the Vedas and any of the Upanishads, nothing at all. Only Bhagavad Gita is good enough.
तो बड़ा सही है.
हर आंसर है भगवद गीता में. It's बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत सिंपल है, बहुत ही मजेदार है. एवरी आंसर इट इज देयर. पीपल हु टेल मी दैट में प्रॉब्लम होती है, हम भगवद गीता ऐसे रैंडमली खोल लेते हैं और रैंडम खोल के हमें आंसर मिल जाता है. दैट इज द पावर भगवद
Which
गीता.
is true actually.
This is actually true, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Rahul, Reena ji? Okay, so we'll end the class. And I think most exciting part of the Bhagavad Gita is coming. So let's get ready for it. I think it's just amazing. I mean, you will start to get your love for Krishna. Krishna reveals so much in it. It's like, it's really like the jewel in the jewelry box. It's like the jam in the sandwich. It's everything that you can think of. It's the most beautiful part. Okay. So we'll end this session. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhute Swayam Rukadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnava Shancha Shri Rupam Sakadatam Hamsa Jivam Sadhvitam Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinbandhu Charipati Gopesh Gopik Kanto Radho Kanto Namaste Sapta Kanchana Gauragi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhana Sute Devi Pranami Haripe Pancha Kalpati Vischa Kripa Sindhu Vicha Patita Nam Pavne Vaishnava Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare Ram
Hare Rama, Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Ram
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Thank you.